good evening and welcome to our April Town Council workshop to set our agenda for our May meeting. Before we move into items for discussion, we do have a public comment period, and it's the town's public comment period shall be reserved for those citizens that have signed up to address the town council or a board or committee at least 24 hours in advance of the meeting pursuant to the town's public comment policy. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Additional comments may be submitted in writing. Amber, any tonight? Okay, so before we actually move into our items for discussion, I'm going to ask Mark Adkins to do our prayer and Jason Irvin to do our pledge, if you'll stand with us.
Father, we just come to you again today, Father, just grateful for what you give us each and every day in our lives, the things we do take for granted. Father, we appreciate such a wonderful town to live in. Lord, I want to thank you for all the people that make this town tick. And a lot of those people in this room, we ask that you continue to watch over the people that serve our community and the citizens that live in it. Go with us as we make discernment decisions tonight. Be with us and forgive us in all that we do. We ask it in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Chief. Okay, we have a celebrity in the building tonight, and I'm going to ask that Jackson Light come up.
I think he's a soccer player, too.
You think he's soccer? Maybe? Maybe. So I want to tell you a little bit about what this young man has done. So spring break was not too long ago, but they were having a trash pickup in their neighborhood, Seven Oaks subdivision. And he took his time over spring break to go out and help to make Smyrna look better and pick up trash. And y'all picked up a lot of trash, didn't you? About how many bags you think?
3 bags of trash.
Oh, very good. So you all know Tony Proctor, and Tony is always out picking up trash out there and taking care of speeders, letting us know when there's speeders out there. But we just want to say how much we appreciate you taking your time to help make Smyrna a better place. And so we have a certificate for you tonight. And is Miss Heather,
She ran to print something.
she ran to print something, so, Amber can get us a picture. Amber's gonna get a picture so we can put you on our Facebook page. How about that, okay? Okay. You got it?
Yes.
Okay, so tell us where you go to school.
Rocky Fork Elementary,
Rocky Fork Elementary. What grade are you in?
5th grade.
5th grade, and who's your teacher?
Mr. Sample.
And how have we done on testing this week and last week?
Pretty good.
Oh, very good, very good.
What's pretty mean?
That means he's going on to the next grade, right? For sure. Okay, good. Well, we are so thankful and want to say thank you for all that you've done, and we appreciate you. So do you want to introduce your mom and dad?
Sure.
Okay, so tell us about your mom and dad.
My dad's name is Aaron Koski. My mom's name is Renee Fortune.
There you go. So we're glad to have you all here with us as well. So thank you for raising such a great kid. We appreciate it. Thank you. You all are welcome to stay for the meeting if you'd like, but you also don't have to. So that's not a requirement of getting the certificate. So we will move into our items for discussion now. Our item 2 is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute the
Mayor? We got a special guest.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize. Representative Stevens, if you'll come forward. We have asked Representative Stevens to come tonight about some really exciting news that he has helped us with, not only here in the town of Smyrna, but really across the state. It's going to be beneficial for so many communities. And so we've asked him to talk about House Bill 0780 and Senate Bill 0875. So if you'll talk a little bit about the legislation you carried for us.
Well, thank you, Mayor. When I first got into politics, I was taught that the best ideas come from people back at home, and this is one of those. A few months ago, I met with Mr. Santucci, and we were talking about state share revenues for some reason. I'm not sure how that came up, but he said in Florida that where he was from before, they reapportion that shared revenue annually instead of every 10 years. So I asked, well, why can't we do that here? And he was able to explain to me how they did it in Florida. And after talking to our legal services department at the state, we were able to come up with a bill and work that through the system, which up until the last minute was pretty smooth. And we had some hiccups that people didn't see, but we were able to work through those and get it passed. So, but this is going to be huge for the fast-growing counties and cities across the state. It's going to save a ton of money with these special census projects that are going on everywhere. Those are hundreds of thousands of dollars and lots of man-hours that you're paying, but you're not paying. And so people won't be getting the knocks on the door anymore to answer these census questions. It's going to also bring in a lot more money to the fast-growing counties and cities. So I'm very excited about what's coming. Of course, it doesn't go into effect until July 1 of 2026. So next year you won't be getting the increase, but after that it will be coming, and it's going to be a big thing for Rutherford County. I think it's going to be millions of more dollars coming in. So as we continue to grow, we've got to find new sources of revenue, and this is a very easy one. So I'm excited about it, and I think that y'all are going to be great beneficiaries of this bill. So.
Well, we appreciate, one, the conversation that you had with Dave, and two, taking that idea and figuring out how it would work in the state of Tennessee, and then carrying it forth, because about $135,000 is what we were going to budget for our census.
That's what we had budgeted this year, yes.
So it's a savings for us already. And I will tell you, it's probably the hardest time that we've had trying to get people to respond to the census information, whether it was by email or the knocks on the door. So this is absolutely going to help us. So we just wanted to bring you and let you talk a little bit about the bill, and also to say thank you and how much we appreciate it.
Well, very good. I enjoyed working with Mr. Santucci and all of you, and also our state. Every time I came down the hallway, people knew that I wanted to talk about this bill. This was my main focus, and we were able to grow quite a coalition of supporters with it, and as more people found out about it, they wanted to get involved with it too. So we were quite a force up there, and hopefully we can find more ways to help next year.
Great. Thank you.
Sorry, I got one question. Can you expand a little bit on how they, I know you included the University of Tennessee for, I guess, their mathematical approach to the process, and I think you mentioned on a Facebook post about how we already have the numbers, we might as well use them. Can you just talk a little bit about how we already have those numbers, where the numbers are coming from, basically?
So the Boyd Center at UT does all kinds of research for cities and counties and for businesses too, and they pull data down from the census. And I'm not sure how they get their information, but they already can draw a circle around a neighborhood and tell you how many people live there.
Oh.
And they also get other data too about age and incomes and all kinds of things that they can use to market for businesses that are looking to come to Tennessee or to a certain area. So this information is already available now. It's not exact numbers, it's estimates. So if you aren't happy with your estimates, you can still do a special census and challenge that if you want to. But from what they do in Florida, it seems like it's pretty accurate, and people don't seem to challenge it. So, but the information's already there, and it just doesn't seem logical to spend millions of dollars across the state to get data that we already have.
Yeah, additional annual increases in counts, even if they're off a little bit, even a couple percentage, is still a whole lot better than waiting 10 years to get it or spending $135,000 on a census. So I appreciate you guys, you and Shane both, taking this forward. Town of Murfreesboro, Smyrna, 92 other counties in the state are going to benefit from this. So I really appreciate it. It's probably one of the best local municipal pieces of legislation that's come through in a long time.
Well, since I was on the county commission and since I've been in the legislature, this has by far been the most meaningful thing. So hopefully the money starts flowing, and as we continue to grow, more money will come. So.
Yeah, and I guess one last piece is 2026 was probably when ours was going to take effect anyway. So the fact that we were already doing a census and then, you know, we're going this route instead, it doesn't change the timeline of when we would actually benefit from it anyway. So it's still perfect.
And that's why Murfreesboro went ahead and pulled the plug on theirs, because they just started and it wasn't going to affect them until that next fiscal year, so why spend the money?
Right.
Yeah.
And then when the annual census does come around, the numbers will just adjust based on that, I'm assuming.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess there's a strange, one-off possibility that they could adjust down a little bit, but I doubt that would happen as fast as we're growing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna have that problem around here.
Yeah.
Another question, the funds we receive, are they strictly state funds or any of them federal?
This bill affects state shared funds. The state collects all kinds of taxes, liquor tax, gas tax, sales tax, and it's just those funds. Any kind of federal money would not be affected by this bill.
Mayor, I'd just like to thank Representative Stevens and our town manager for the collaboration. I mean, this is a huge win for us, and just goes to show what we can do with that collaboration, so thank you.
Saves our taxpayers some money.
Yep.
Sure. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Okay, we'll move on to item 2, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute the sublease of a portion of Sharp Springs to Greg Rhodes Farms for wildlife and agricultural purposes. Mike?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is a sublease at Sharp Springs Park for the agricultural fields. Beatty Farms had an agreement on this for 5 years and asked if they could terminate that. So we put an RFP out, received one proposal from Greg Rhodes and his family, who farmed the land up till 2021. So if approved, they'll pay the town $30 an acre out there for the 66 acres that is in the backside of the park there. And they can, or we can, barter if we want to save money in some areas or to have them do some work in lieu of fees. So it does, the proposal does give us that option. And we kind of dictate the crops that they can plant, or they can, if they want to plant something different from that, they just need our approval, and they will do that. So we're just recommending to approve that lease with Greg Rhodes.
Will we still be able to get the corn maze from
Yes.
that?
Yeah, that's the plan. We have had some success with sorghum back there, and I think some of those fields are depleted on nutrients and that type of thing, so that's why we were kind of fine with that price. The other side of that is the Corps has the right to flood that property when they need to, and they do. So we do dictate that we want a corn or something similar in that area behind the building, just for the Halloween.
For Halloween, yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Questions on this?
I had one question I read in, was there a clause in there about bartering for some hay or something?
Yes.
I was just curious what we
Yeah,
use hay for.
Yes, sir. Sometimes we'll do some in-kind type things. So Greg Rhodes and his family sometimes will be able to provide 300 bales of straw that we'll use for Halloween in the park.
Okay.
And what we have that we maybe don't get wet or whatever, we use it for seed and straw and
Sure.
that type of thing. So we leave that option. If they have their hands on that many bales, which is hard to get anymore, then we can work with
Okay.
them in lieu of fees.
Sure.
And it could
Thanks.
be, we've used them for different things. If they had equipment in there and we need something done, they would do that as well. I think, Jerome, they also have the lease behind us, the TWA lease behind us. So they would have that acreage there together
Okay.
as well.
All right, just
Do they also do
curious.
Sam Davis home?
I don't know if they've got that or not, because I think Beatty was doing that. So
Yeah.
it sounds like I think it was just hard for Brandon and them to get down here on this end of the county sometimes.
Okay.
Mike, I think you may have said this, do they have the whole area of Sharp Springs as far as the agricultural park, or is some of it?
Yes, sir.
Somebody else, they got
Greg
it
did
all.
mention that he thought they had the TWRA, I think it's 30, 40 acres to the north of us,
Mm-hmm.
kind of where our gravel road stops there. So I think they're getting that as well, from what I understand. But they've got all of ours in the park, so we
Okay,
got.
that's what I was wondering, in the park.
Yeah, in the
Got it all.
park,
Okay.
from basically what you see at Jefferson Pike,
Okay.
all the way towards the lake.
Back behind Sage Hill and all that, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Other questions?
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Item 3 is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with Azteca Systems to move the CityWorks application to a hosted platform. Carl?
Hi, Mayor, Council. This request is for us to move CityWorks from having it on site here to a hosted platform with CityWorks. We had a security vulnerability that came through in February. They were able to address it within hours on their site. However, it took them well over a week to get the patch out to us, and then another day for us to get that set up and installed. So from a security perspective, the hosting does make sense. This is also going to mitigate another issue that we have with CityWorks. Financially, the last 2 years, because we are over 50,000 in population, they've been trying to raise our rates. I've been able to push it off for a couple of years, but one of these days they were going to catch up. this new agreement actually comes in lower than the price that we would be paying to keep it on site and that. I do want to make you aware that we are going to have to do a lot of configuration changes once it gets there. So we're going to bring another request next month for some configuration work on the system from KCI, who we had already had working on the system, and this was one of their recommendations, was to move it to online as well.
Great. Questions for Carl? Okay, then we'll move on to item 4, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a purchase of goods and services from Waypoint Business Solutions in support of our grant-funded multi-factor authentication project.
Yes, so we have gotten our bids in and we're ready to move forward with the MFA project. So we are requesting the approval to work with Waypoint to get the tokens and the services to implement multi-factor authentication.
Questions for Carl on the multi-factor authentication? Okay. Item 5 is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute an extension of the contract with BH Homes Construction for emergency line repair replacement in the water sewer maintenance. Mike?
How are you?
Great.
Good. So this will be the third year that we can extend with BH Homes. They do all the water line repairs. They've done an absolutely fantastic job for us. They were responsible for fixing all of the leaks that eSource found in the leak survey and subsequently helping us drop our water loss. So recommend approval to extend it for another year at the same cost.
Questions on extending this at the same cost? Okay. Item 6 is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a 3-year renewal agreement with Rockwell Automation for technical support for the water plant.
Yes, this is another 3-year contract with them. Rockwell is sole source. They handle all the PLCs, control panels at the plant, booster station, tank sites. They did have about a $3,000 increase over the last 3-year term, but doing it by a 3-year term does save us some money instead of doing it year to year.
Question on this one? Okay, we'll move on to item 7, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement with NAFCO for the purchase of bunker boots, turnout coats, turnout pants, suspenders, and fire hoods. Hey, James.
Hello, Mayor. This is, like it says, it's for our annual purchase of bunker gear, turnout coats, pants, and suspenders from NAFCO. This is for replacement for any tears or any new firefighters might come along.
Any questions on this? Okay, we'll put that on the agenda and move to item 8, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement with CMS Uniforms for the purchase of fire department uniforms.
Yes, ma'am. This is CMS. This is our annual uniform operation budget that we purchase our stuff from.
Questions on this annual item? Okay, we'll move on to item 9, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement with Safe Industries for the purchase of fire gloves and fire helmets.
Again, this is our turnout gear that it's replacement for fire gloves and helmets and for new personnel or any replacement through the year.
Questions on this one?
I got you all dressed up now, don't we?
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Keep us safe.
Okay, we will put that one on the agenda as well. Thank you, sir. Item 10 is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute supplement number 1 from Reagan Smith Associates for professional services for the final design of the Lowry Street Phase 2 project.
Mayor and Council, due to the recent water line project that went in and then the sidewalk that was placed during that time, we need to do additional survey to bring that up to work on our curb and driveway design there. And also the project delay has resulted in a need to update the NEPO technical memo and updated design parameters that TDOT is now in place on their project. And also we're going to be including the lighting design in this project.
Questions for Charles on this one?
Phase 2 is which part?
It's from Jackson Street down to Harts Branch Bridge. Like I said, from that point, like I said, it was put in the new water line there, and then, like I said, the sidewalk was put in during that project. So hopefully on that side, we'll just be doing curb and the driveway cuts, and then on the opposite side of the street, we'll be doing the curbs and sidewalks on that side.
No more moving of utilities over there, so the project will go pretty quick, right?
Right, this, we can't move any of the electric poles because Middle Tennessee Electric can't service those businesses from behind like we did on the first phase. So we'll try to get AT&T to reconfigure 3 down near Harts Branch Bridge. We'll work on that, but the electric poles will stay in place.
Charles, was the lighting in the original scope, or has it just been added?
It was in the original scope, because last time on phase 1, we did it outside of the TDOT contract to try to move through, so we didn't have to go through TDOT utilities. But that had its issues, so this time we're putting it in these design drawings, and it will be part of the TDOT contract.
But it wasn't part of the
Yes.
consultant's
Right.
initial design?
Right,
We're
initial
adding it.
design that we,
Right.
after doing the first phase 1, we
Right.
felt on this one, we would be better to have a lighting consultant
Sure.
work with them and bring it all in one set of plans.
Gotcha.
Okay. Other questions? Okay, then we will put that on the agenda. Move on to item 11, which is approval of the terms of an authorization for the mayor to execute an extension agreement for Wayne's Pest Control to June 30th, 2026.
Thank you, Mayor Council. This is an extension of the existing pest control contract with Wayne's Pest Control, taking it through to June 2026. It also adds Fire Hall 4 on Jefferson Pike into this as well for $456 for the year.
Questions? Are there any that they don't do?
Not that I know of. I had a list, I think, in the
Yeah,
description
it
of
was
all those
there.
items, and then there's some alternative items as far as like, I think, mostly at parks, at bathrooms in parks areas.
Yeah. Okay.
Did we, is this a local company? I know we got one local pest control company. Was it put out for bid, or?
Yeah, we put it out to competitive bid. This is an extension of the original contract, but
extension,
the original
okay.
contract was put out to competitive bid.
Okay.
And Wayne's came in as the lowest responsive bidder. I
Are
think
they local?
I think they're in Antioch and Nashville. They have
Okay.
offices there.
Other questions? Okay, we'll put that on the agenda and move on to item 12, which is approval of the terms of an authorization for the mayor to execute a contract extension with Neil Schaefer for additional time on the ITS Phases 3, 4, and 5
ITS project,
project.
yes. Gonna nail this one. So.
You just can't leave this project,
As
can you?
as a portion of the project that was completely out of my control, which was Middle Tennessee Electric changing out poles on Lee Victory Parkway, is adding more time on the project because we weren't able to hang all the fiber on there. We had to wait for them to get done, and then we're able to put fiber on there, so this extends the contract. But it should be all 100% paid back by TDOT, and it should not cost us anything
Great.
other than time.
Question for Tom on his project.
God, I hate to ask this question. When?
When's it gonna be done? This summer.
With no extensions, right? None.
No more extensions.
Okay, we will put that on the agenda, and we have.
That's on the record.
Well, I was gonna say, we have you on camera saying
All right,
this
might
summer.
as well.
Okay, we'll move on to item 13, which is consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of tax map 34G Group A, parcel 1.00 from PRD to LSO with LSO to PID with LSO, requested by Robert Latimer. The property requested to be rezoned contains approximately 1.45 acres and is located at the intersection of South Lowry Street and Seward Drive, and this is a second reading. Kevin?
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is the request. It was up for second reading at your last meeting and was deferred for 30 days at the request of the applicant. This is a rezoning request that would be from basically a PRD to a PID within the Lowry Street Overlay District. It is on South Lowry, near the intersection with Southside Drive and Stewart Drive. This land use plan is kind of the mixed-use center character area. It's surrounding zoning is C2, C3, and PRD, which is the South Side Townhomes PRD. The existing approved PRD for this property is for 21 townhomes and 3 buildings. This request is for a development of a 78,277 square feet climate-controlled self-storage building. It's a 3-story building with a partial basement on the Lowry Street frontage, kind of like a 4-story building on the Lowry Street frontage. Brick and stone with some glass and glazing as well. A couple parking lots on either side of the building, one in the front, one side and in the rear. It would have a modified Type D landscape buffer on the property line, but bordering the townhomes, as well as a privacy fence along the entirety of the rear property line with the townhomes, as well as the adjacent house, which has a C2 zoning. The Planning Commission did review this, did recommend approval 4-1 against, with 5 conditions. One, that the required number of parking spaces per zoning ordinance is 26. Developer has requested an exception to allow for 22. The minimum building setback along Lowry is 40 feet per requirement to the Lowry Street overlay. The developer has requested an exception to allow for a 25-foot front setback. The Lowry Street overlay does require awnings or canopies to be at least 9 feet above finished grade to extend at least 6 feet from the building face. The developer has requested an exception to have the awnings to be approved as submitted. The landscaping requirements of the overlay will be reviewed in detail with the site plan if the rezoning is approved. The developer did request an exception to the requirements for the type and size of street trees and frontage trees along Lowry Street due to the utility conflicts, and to modify that required Type D buffer along that northeastern side. And also, the last one would be to provide a sidewalk along South Lowry Street. So with those conditions, the Planning Commission did recommend approval, and staff would recommend approval with those conditions as recommended by the Planning Commission. Nothing has changed on this since you all looked at it last time.
Okay. Questions for Kevin on this?
Yeah, Kevin, I've asked this question before. The comprehensive land use plan calls for a mixed use of residential and commercial. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And then we don't have any other industrial zoned in this area along.
Probably the nearest industrial zoning is the storage units there at Lee Victory and Lowry Street there. It's really more on the Lee Victory side, across from Nissan.
Oh, yeah, the old Spivey storage.
Correct.
Yeah.
Kind of behind them.
Yeah.
That's probably the nearest industrially zoned piece of property to this property.
This is coming into the main part of town, and I know, Steve, at one point, you said we have storage units, coming into town, and I feel like that is more of an industrial type area as you come in. I've got, I guess, some heartburn of rezoning this as a industrial overlay in this area, which our land use plan says commercial/residential. And I know the other alternative is 21 townhomes, but I don't have the issue of 21 townhomes on this 4-lane road versus the industrial rezoning. So that's kind of my position with it. I will give them credit. It's great rendering. It looks good. It's just I don't think the use fits this area.
Great. Anything else?
We had a pretty good discussion on it at the last meeting, and I know they pulled it and asked for an extension to go back, and I think the comment was, we're gonna go back and look at this and see what we can make some changes. Did you say that so far there's not been anything that's been changed?
They haven't submitted anything to me. They may be looking at some things, but I haven't seen anything from them at this point.
Yeah, I'd be curious why they requested to defer it.
And Mr. Polchan is here if you want to hear from him.
And the other item was going from a 40-foot setback to 25. I know, I think the building next to it, I'm not sure what that setback is at Classics, whether that's 40 or 25.
Well, the minimum on there, because I think that's zone C2, so I think the minimum is 35. They may be set back further, but I think the
Okay.
minimum would have been 35 at the time, because that was built before
Sure.
the overlay was put in
Sure.
place.
Other questions? Okay. If there are no other questions, then we will put that on the agenda and move on to item 14, which is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with Blankenship CPA Group PLLC for audit services for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025.
Mayor and council, staff is recommending the independent certified public accounting firm of Blankenship CPA Group to perform the audit for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2025. They have been approved by the Comptroller of the Treasury to audit municipalities in the state of Tennessee. The estimated fee is $42,250 plus $2,000 for crosswalk work. There could be additional costs relative to single audit, new construction costs, pension and/or OPEB funds, grants or bond projects, and new GASB implementation. These items are broken out because the auditors don't usually know the scope of the work that will be required in these areas until the contract has been signed. They are required to perform procedures as dictated by generally accepted governmental auditing standards. The town has been actively acquiring grants, which in turn makes us have a single audit. Single audits are required when grants exceed $750,000, and state revolving loan funds are considered grants. The single audit is much more labor intensive for the audit firm. The town will not have any additional costs related to pension or other post-employment benefits this year, as we have no changes. New construction costs and implementing governmental accounting standards board standards would be minimal, as we do a good job tracking costs and implementing standards with our staff. We do recommend giving the mayor the authority to enter into a contract with Blankenship CPAs.
Questions for Rex on our audit? So I know many times from the public we hear, they should be audited, they should be audited. We're audited every year by an independent firm, and we're required to be audited.
Yes, ma'am. It's a state law that every municipality has to be audited.
And then that audit is then placed on the website for review as well, correct?
Yes, and they could also contact the comptroller's office if they had any questions related to the audit.
Great. Questions on this? Then we will put it on the agenda. Item 15, consideration of an ordinance adopting the budget for fiscal year 25-26.
The ordinance and detailed budget for fiscal year 2025-2026 are submitted for your consideration. I anticipate some additional changes to the budget arising from discussions at the budget retreat. There will also be some minor payroll adjustments from the March evaluations. I have included a spreadsheet detailing the changes from the retreat to the first read for your convenience, and we are asking you to adopt this ordinance.
Questions on this?
I have one question. I know we've included a lot of things we discussed, and I appreciate that. My only concern with the budget, I think the overall addition on paving this year was $250,000 versus last year, and I was just wanting to ask everyone, do we feel like that will kind of keep moving us forward to try to gain ground on the conditions of the roadways?
So an additional $250,000 from the, what was it last year? What was the total amount?
Like 1.3.
Was it 1.?
82.
Wait, say that, will you come forward so that people at home can hear too?
It was $1.75 million for milling and resurfacing, and either
200 or 250,000 for roadway repairs, which was pothole repairs.
So that's about
About
$2
$2
million,
million.
so would that put us at 2.2 million this year?
Yeah, I think that'd be a good place for us. You know, the challenge is from year to year, what road repairs need to come up. And like as we annex county roads, that may already be a problem. We could easily spend $200,000 fixing 4 or 5 locations.
But I think we talked about at the retreat with the new product that we're gonna be getting to measure the road surface, that then we could come back and make a budget amendment based on what we find from that if we needed to. Is that correct?
That's correct. I think what my recommendation would be is that we have increased the budget by $250,000 for this year in anticipation that, one, we do want to do more this year on not only the repaving, but as well as the striping as well. The budget also includes a pavement assessment, which we will begin in the new fiscal year. I think Tom will be putting that out prior to the actual fiscal year beginning so that we can get moving very early on in the fiscal year related to that project. What that project will do is will provide us a baseline condition of where we're at today on our roadway system throughout the entire city, which will then provide us the guidance that we need in terms of cost estimations and prioritization.
Which would still give us time before spring, once the companies open back up, to come back in to do more if we needed to.
Yes.
Well, go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, so just for clarification, in 2023 to 2024, we added $1 million to the budget, isn't that right? For paving?
I can't remember what it was. It was a one-time additional, it might have been $1 million or 500 to $1 million, I can't remember.
So the 1.75, is that based on increases from the 23 budget, or does that still include what we put in from 23 to 24? Is that basically taking 24 a step further, or does that?
It's taking this fiscal year a step further. Since Tom has, about 8 years ago, I think it was, that we looked back at the data, the paving budget has increased year over year. And what Tom has tried to do is to get us to a point of trying to do a resurfacing of our roadways on a 20-year average basis. 20 years is the average for your local neighborhood roads. You can, in many cases, go up to about 30 years, and then your more traveled roads, you need about 10 to 15 years. But what I have seen through the data is that percentage of roadway network within the city has increased over the years. The spending has also increased, but in some years that percentage has actually gone down, and that's a reflection of market conditions on what it costs to do repaving. In years where fuel prices are low, we've been able to increase that repaving, and in years where the costs are high, we're not able to do as much. But we're still increasing the budget to try to meet that demand.
And those percentages are based on what we take in roadway-wise and what we bring in. So it's a balance between what we how we continue to grow and how we continue to spend. But, if everyone's satisfied with, doing the evaluation and then coming back and kind of seeing where we're at, I'm great with that.
Yeah, I think what I was trying to get to is we've been increasing every year.
We've been incrementing.
And we took this year's increase, even though it sounds like a small number, it's a compounded increase, right? And so I agree with what you're saying. I don't know if it's enough, but the evaluation will tell us.
Right, based on the length of roadway
Yeah, and
we
then
have.
the option would be stay flat and see what the evaluation said. I don't want to do that. So let's go ahead and do basically what we've done in the past and then look at the evaluation.
And I guess the next question would be to Rex or Sierra, is there money in the general fund that we can look at, if that comes back and says we need to spend more?
So what I would say is, and just so you know, I have a whole presentation for you all this evening regarding the budget, but that's a good question.
Well, and then also, what we usually find by that time of the year also, there's usually money that projects that haven't been haven't been done, so usually we find that time of year, it's some money that's.
The budget is built conservatively for a reason, because we never want to overspend, right? And I think even in the budget retreat, Rex talked a little bit about what our surplus would look like this year, and that's been consistent year over year. So I think by the time we get to the point of having the assessment done, we'll probably be at mid-year, and we could probably do a mid-year budget adjustment if necessary to account for additional.
I just want to say this, this is my first budget retreat, and I appreciate all the department heads and Dave and the council, everybody, how well it flowed, and that everyone was open to others' ideals and opinions.
We're glad you're here.
Yeah.
Dave, can you talk one more time about how that new evaluation is going to work of the roads? I mean, you've talked about it before, but.
So what it basically does is it's a piece of equipment that you can attach to a vehicle. And don't ask me exactly how it does it, but it comes up with, it looks at the road, literally, and it comes up with an assessment of where that road condition is. So it could be bad, bad, okay. I forget exactly what it is, but it comes up with that. And really where you kind of want to be is between about 70 to 80% on your roads. And so we'll be able to see how many of our roads are in poor condition, poor good condition. Those are the ones we want to hit first. They'll probably be in a 50 to 60% percentile. Hopefully we won't see anything less than that. And based on how much we have to, we need to look at the hole we need to climb out of, right? And so that's really what we want to do with this assessment and see. And then it also, this technology can provide us the ability to do cost estimation on what that looks like. And we can then at that point formulate a plan and with the commission's policy direction decide where do we want that percentage? What's our goal in terms of the roadway paving grading system, if you will. So when I say percentage, I mean an 80% as a grade, like a B, right? So, and that's really what we'll be able to analyze once we get that done.
Just sitting here listening to you talk. So is that equipment then ours, or do we rent that equipment, or how does that work?
I think we're renting. I think it'd probably be a rental lease predicament because it's going to be a 3-year contract, I think. So
Yeah.
maybe I'm now getting a little bit above my head, and I'll have Tom come up.
Yeah, I think it's going to be their devices that they installed on our vehicles. We'll probably even put it on like brush trucks because they go up and down every street. And so as it goes up and down all the streets, it's going to take that data. So the devices will belong to them. They'll install them, and then at the end of the 3-year contract, we'll go out to bid again. If it's the same company, we'll continue to use them. If it's somebody else, in those.
So it's something we look at on a year, even though it's rental equipment for 3 years, every year we'll continue to look at it.
Yeah, there'll be a recurring cost every year, whatever that comes in. We are currently out to bid on it, so I believe in the next 2 or 3 weeks, we should get those bids back. And yeah, it'll be a recurring cost, and then they'll just constantly give us feedback. Every month, they'll send us a report on our roads.
Okay. And is the brush truck something that, as they're driving around, they're looking if there's major potholes that need, do they report those types of things in to you as well?
Yes, we get the reports from them and all our streets guys
And the public.
PD,
Yeah.
public,
Yeah.
everybody.
My wife.
Yeah.
Okay.
Amber. Wear me out on one of them.
And I think it's fixed, if not, it'll be fixed soon.
Heather said it twice.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
All right, thanks.
Okay, so Dave, do you have a little presentation for us?
Can I have one more question?
Sure.
You guys mentioned about replacement recycle plan about once every 20 years, is that correct?
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
Replacement or repair, like once every 20 years is kind of the cycle that you're looking at.
The cycle
right?
for milling and resurfacing or roadway is generally a good standard would be 20 years.
I was thinking we used to use 25, is that correct? And we just moved it down to 20, or was I?
Well, I think different roadways are different years.
Correct.
Like the arterials are less, the residentials are more.
Yeah, I think your previous predecessor told me one time, said we try to use 25 years, and I didn't know if we dropped that down to 20 or if that was misspoken. I'm not sure. Okay, that's fine. Anyway, it's 20 years. That's it.
We good?
So we're done with the budget?
I would never not allow you to do the presentation you worked so hard on.
All right. All right, so the first thing we're going to just go over briefly is since the retreat, for y'all's information, the changes that we've made, no changes to revenues. We've left the revenues the same. But we did talk about that Placer AI system, and we have moved that from admin contractual over to the utility fund. So there's a $30,000 decrease to the general fund on that. Financial contractual services has increased in the finance department. That is for a firm called Davenport LLC Financial Services to as a placeholder in case we need to start looking at financing options for capital improvement projects. We transferred we had a transfer to capital projects for the Lee Victory concession design, also one for conversion of Tyler's software for our probation division, and as well as the additional paving that we just talked about from streets. And that's all. Turn it on. There we go. So that's all right there. Apologize for that. I'll get used to this thing. Here, we also had transfer to capital for reduced funding on the St. Francis Ave, as we discussed in the budget retreat, and that was coming from impact fees. So it's just putting that back into the impact fee pool, if you will. And then we also, as we just discussed in our joint planning and council meeting, a fund study for an impact fee study. We added that as well. We had a transfer to the general fund to fund the capital projects that we just discussed, and the reduction of the impact fees for the St. Francis funding. Those are revenue changes. And then on the expense side, we already talked about the probation software, Lee Victory Park improvements for the design of the concession, additional funds for the milling and resurfacing, and again, no funding at this time for the St. Francis Ave extension. So those were the changes since the retreat. Getting a bit into the presentation, I want to recognize that the budget process does not begin and end within a 3-month period. It is a year-round process that staff is working on the budget in many different fiscal years even. So even when we adopt this budget, if the budget is adopted and implemented by July, there's still work to be done, state reports and submissions to do. And so it's a year-round process, and we had that council retreat in April. We spent all day with the council. The departments had the opportunity to get feedback from you of what your policy initiatives were, and the departments got an opportunity to tell you what they saw as the vision of their department and the projects that they would like to complete during that time. Right now, we are at the workshop where at the council meeting for this workshop, we will have our first read. The second read and comptroller submission will occur in June, and then our fiscal year begins, and we begin implementation at that point. You can see that even in the absence of the implementation, as Tom talked about, we're already trying to get ahead of the game by starting various RFP process and bid processes so that we can hit the ground running on July 1st. I want to go through some demographic information, which you all saw and was provided by the Chamber of Commerce, but I think for the public's sake as well, it's very interesting information to understand of where we are as a town. Our current population estimated is 60,115. So it should be interesting in 2006 what we see what the Boyd Center says about our population. Our estimated growth by 2029 will be 2.2% annualized, and that's in an 11.3% 5-year growth average. The county population is presented to grow at a lesser rate of 1.6 annually for the next 15 years to approximately over 500,000 over that 15-year period. The median household income for the town of Smyrna is 75,000, and our daytime population exceeds our normal our normal population, which is telling us that we are bringing more people into the town of Smyrna to work than we are. So we're exporting. So we're importing more workers than exporting. And what that should tell you is one of the other statistics that was given to us, which I can't remember if it's on the slide, so I'll just say it now. For every 10 workers, there's only about 7 homes or units at this point. And so that influx that you can see is something that we need to consider and when it comes to our housing stock that we have in the city, because what does people in cars translate to? Traffic. So I just point that out to you. Employment is projected to grow 10.4% over the next 5 years, 2% annualized compared to Tennessee at 9%. That should be no surprise to any of us, as Rutherford County has now exceeded Knox County to Hamilton County, not yet. Hamilton County, Chattanooga area, to now be the 4th largest county in the state of Tennessee. The median salary estimated is going to grow year over year at about a 1.4%. And another interesting thing to see is that management jobs are growing 14% in the area over the last 5 years. So now over 1,500 jobs with a median salary that are above 100,000, which is very, very positive for us. Business and financial jobs have grown 23% over the last 5 years. Not sure what happened to this slide, but our housing units have doubled to 23,103, 3% annualized. Between 2020 and 23, units grew 4.1%. The average home value is $418,000, and the median price for the single-family home is $490,000. And that's at about $224 per square foot. The difference in those two figures is the value of the home, which is used for the basis of taxes, and then obviously the next one at $490,000 is sale price. The average mortgage payment is about, combining the next two bullet points here, about 29% of income spent on mortgage. A barometer that's commonly used is that you shouldn't see more than 30%. So that is a positive sign for the community to show that we do have at least an affordability for our housing stock as it relates to wages in the community. The median rent is just a little bit over $1,100, and the cost of living is 9% lower than the U.S. This is something that we discussed at our retreat, and this is just a reflection of some communities in Tennessee with populations similar to ours, between 50,000 and 70,000. And what you can see is that we are by far the lowest property tax rate amongst those cities. Within Rutherford County, the tax rate is, and I'm going to abbreviate here, 1.9. Murfreesboro is 0.95. Laverne is about 0.54, and of course us, and then Eagleville is 0.40. And you can see the populations for each one of those. And so this is a slide that we added to this presentation that you didn't see during the retreat, but I wanted to paint a picture of what people pay for taxes here in the town. So if you look at an appraisal value of, we'll start with the first one, you can do the math for each other column, $350,000, the assessed value is 25% of that at approximately $87,500. You apply the tax rate to that, and the annual property tax rate for a home valued at $350,000 is $459.99 annually, or less than $40 a month. And how does that, where is that money going? If you take a look, you can see that the vast majority of your property taxes are going towards public safety, 52% of that. Then, of course, going into general admin, community development, capital projects, streets, public works, courts, and economic development and nonprofits. And the pie chart on the right-hand side provides that breakdown from a proportional basis.
What a bargain, what a deal.
I mean, if you look at what the median what the median house cost, you're looking at $591 a year is what that they pay in taxes to take care of. Look at all of the things that we offer. I would say most spend that in 2 to 3 months of probably cable TV or streaming. So I agree. I think it is a bargain for what we're able to provide our citizens.
Okay, let's go into the personnel discussion related to all funds. These were the new personnel that were recommended for the budget, and that is a legal admin assistant with an admin, an assistant banquet captain in the event center, 6 new firefighters for the fire department, an HR generalist in HR, 2 planning positions, one being a principal planner and an additional code inspector for police, a telecommunicator, which is in the dispatch. In golf, a part-time groundskeeper, and in parks, 2 part-time athletic event representatives. That's 15 additional staff being recommended for 2026. Just to briefly go over the value that's added with those positions, the legal admin staff would be a shared responsibility amongst the town attorney's office and my office as well. It would provide additional support for both the town attorney and the town clerk, and this would alleviate some of the administrative functions or tasks that are needed amongst both of those, so that we can start to concentrate on some higher level work within both the town clerk and the town attorney. The event staff is based on, just to give kudos to Nate, we're seeing more and more corporate events coming to the event center because of the great work that they're doing, which has put a little bit more demand on the staff for nights and weekends. The firefighters are a result of the new fire station that we have over in Jefferson Pike. I will say that this is something that we will analyze with our new fire chief to ensure that these positions are really needed. If they are, we will obviously move forward with them. If we don't, we'll look for other options of what to do with the funding that was provided for those positions. I would certainly come before the town council for any decision before we do that. HR generalist, with the growth that we've had from organizationally, the workload within HR, we need to add an additional position. The principal planner and code inspector, I think we've talked at great lengths about the ability for us to be a little bit more proactive as it relates to both planning and code enforcement. So these 2 positions are being recommended to address that. That also speaks to the dispatch position with the added growth and call volume that we're receiving. Within golf, the additional groundskeeper part-time will assist with trying to ensure that our golf course is a premier location for golfers to enjoy at a very reasonable rate. And then within Parks and Recreation, the success of our athletics and events within Parks and Recreation has just put additional demand on us to ensure that we can be out there and visible to the community in the parks. We have 2, that's in the general fund. Within the water plant, we have 2 operator 2s that will be going, that will be ensuring that we have 2 individuals on shift at any time, especially at night. That is something that I wholeheartedly support, and ensuring that we don't just have 1 individual at a plant overnight in case of an emergency. Within the water sewer maintenance, we have 2 utility locators. This is going to replace an existing contract that we have, or contractual services, and we believe that this will be a cost savings. And then within gas, the expansion of our gas utility has required us to expand our personnel, so that's an additional gas tech. And then we also have a position within the utility that is doing multiple jobs right now very successfully, but they are retiring, and so we're going to downgrade that position into 2 positions, one being an office coordinator, one being a customer service supervisor. And yes, so that once that retirement takes place, those 2 positions would come online. The current total salaries for FY '25 is approximately 34 million. The salary study increase was 3.5, effectuated just this past March, for a total of 37.7 million. The new positions that we are requesting for FY '26 total just over 670,000. We've put an effective date on there of January 1, and that's just to account for the time that it will take to recruit for all these positions. That is an average, and that's what we would expect to see. The reclassifications that we have recommended is 41,000 merit and bonus. That would be effective for existing personnel today is 1.1 million. So the total salaries for FY '26 is 39,600,000. Wanted to just provide you with a breakdown of what that salary really looks like. You can see that 66% of that is actual salary, and then 24% is health and benefit costs. Just taking a look at what the salaries are by function, and similar to what I showed you on the pie chart previously, we spend a lot in salaries on our public safety to ensure the safety of the community. 50% of our salaries go towards public safety. General government, culture and recreation, the other functions within the town, you can see, I won't belabor it, you can see the distribution there. Going into our special revenue funds, we have a few of them. One is insurance, and this was something that we have seen an increase in across the board. I'll be providing you all with a more detailed synopsis of what the insurance increases are probably tomorrow morning, as we are still, I'm still getting that information put together for you. But you can see the budget increases on insurance costs across the board. This is an industry issue. This is not necessarily a Smyrna issue. So we also, because we are self-insured, we do have this as a special revenue fund, and we do carry a fund balance. You can see the fund balance estimations for this year, or what we budgeted, the estimation that we will end up with, and then of course the recommendation for FY '25 and '26. Want to go into analysis of a change of net position over the years, and really this is always going to be a moving target. You never know what kind of claims you're going to see. Insurance, both from a property side and a health side, catastrophic claims can have a huge difference and a swing in what this will be, so this will change over time. But we are proposing a 16.5 increase from funds with payroll to insurance funds. This is not an increase this year to anybody on the health plan. We're just diverting 16.9% increase from those funds with payroll to the insurance fund, because funds that do not have payroll costs are not eligible revenues. The next one would be State Street Aid. State Street Aid revenues come from mainly the state and the gas tax. The gas tax has been very flat over the most recent years. And the reason for that is because cars are becoming more efficient and there's a lot more electric vehicles on the road. So the revenues that we used to get that would pay for a lot of the roadway projects, that fund is remaining flat while costs increase, which means that we need to seek revenues from the general fund to offset things like milling and repaving. Our drug fund, I want to say that I know that this year I've seen some correspondence from the chief and their efforts with TBI, and they're in a task force. We've got personnel in the TBI task force. I might not be putting the right nomenclature on that, but they have had some significant fines lately. So I do expect that as those cases get completed, that we will see some additional revenues within our drug fund. One of the things that we'll talk about just a little bit later is a large expenditure out of the drug fund, and so I preface that with the fact that we have the funds to do that, and we expect more money to be coming in. Stormwater is also one of those funds, and within this budget you can see that it remains relatively flat, but that's okay. It is funding the personnel operations and capital fairly well. And we have an ending fund balance projection of $372,248 at the end of 2025-26. There are a few capital projects that I know Tom would like to complete, and they are not critical at this point from a flood mitigation standpoint, but they are projects that we will have on the horizon and keep an eye on. Going into the enterprise funds, talk about utilities and natural gas first. These will be fee schedule changes, so as we go through these, we'll talk about the fee schedule changes first. I'll go over them very briefly as they were provided you in your supplemental information. The residential tap fee is proposed to increase $25, and the base residential fee is proposed to increase 25 cents. The usage rate by 15 cents per MCF. Within natural gas, all right, here we go. The revenues are projected to increase substantially. If you remember, we had another large user who is going to be tapping on to our natural gas supply. That customer is actually in Laverne, but as a result of that, that's generally what we're thinking the revenues will go up, as they will be the second largest user behind the Nissan plant. We are expecting that expenditures will increase, and most of that you can see is in the natural gas for resale. And the ending net position that we expect in the natural gas fund is increasing to $28,600,000. The difference here that you're going to see within the general fund is when we talk about net position, it's because these are enterprise funds. And so enterprise funds are looked at as separate business units that are self-sustaining, self-funding for the operations, maintenance, capital, and depreciation for each one of these funds. Just a pie chart of the expenditures by type. You can see most of that is 56 is for the resale of that natural gas, operations, maintenance, personnel, capital, and depreciation. Within the water and sewer fund, again, with wastewater, we have some recommended fee schedule changes. Again, I won't go through them all. I'll just leave the slide up for just a moment for you. We believe that the fee change schedule is nominal for the cost of the water distribution service and the increased costs that we're experiencing, both in maintenance, chemicals, personnel, and capital. Revenues within the water fund would increase based off of these changes and increased volumes. Personnel costs have increased, probably is the largest thing that you're going to see here as a result of some of the pay changes and additional personnel which we will need in there. The fund is well capable of handling that additional capacity. Again, a pie chart of the water sewer fund expenditures by type. Most of our money goes towards operation and maintenance to ensure that the water distribution system is working. We've done an excellent job this year on maintaining that system and looking at what we call I&I, which is infiltration into the system, which eventually reduces our costs so we do not have as much water leaving the system as we would like. Going into the general fund, there are some recommended fee schedule changes here from the building codes department. Most of this stuff is to add electrical inspection, which we do not currently have. Electrical inspection fees are something that are very common, and we want to start to capture those costs as we do not now. So you can see, particularly on this slide right here, that we did not have that, and those are electrical permit fee inspections for electrical, the electrical discipline. Within the golf course, we have some nominal increases as it relates to the various rates, $1, $2 total. I want to point out that we do have, and this is not very common, we have a reduced rate for our golf course when we do aeration. So we reduce the rate because we recognize that our greens aren't in the best shape. But I will be honest, that does not slow down the demand out there. For parks, most of the fee changes here are going to be related to residential versus non-residential rates. Okay, so I'll just slowly go through these. All right, within probation, fee schedule changes. The electronic monitoring installation fee is a reflection of us moving from doing this in-house to having this a contracted service. We believe it's a much better way for us to be doing this. The problem is that sometimes individuals who are on probation may go from, for lack of a better word, the custody of Smyrna to Rutherford County, and once that happens, we really lose a lot of visibility on that individual. And we're having difficulty recouping any late fees that are related to our electronic monitoring when we were doing it in-house. So by going to an outside contractor, we will be able to just have them deal with that, and that will follow them through their process. All right. So revenues for the total general fund will likely to increase. Our recommendation is $63,491,495. These increases can be found across mainly personnel, operations, and maintenance. You will see a decrease in capital projects, but what I want to point out and just make sure that we all understand that this does not mean that we are taking the finger off the pulse of our capital projects. What this is a reflection of is a reduction for this year in the use of cash for capital projects. So when we get to the capital projects later on, you'll see that we have a very robust capital program in our general fund, and you'll see the uses of that. The projected ending fund balance, I'll point out for 2025, we believe that we'll see about a $3 million surplus. That's yet to be realized. We have to go through the audit process before we know exactly what that is. And based on the budget that we have prepared and recommended, the surplus this year would be $66. When we talk about revenues that we receive as a town to support the services that are received by the citizens, I want to point out the top 15, budgeted general fund revenues. The first one is the local sales tax, and so.
Shop local.
Excuse me? Did you say buy local?
Yeah, shop local.
Okay, shop local. Okay, good. So we had Representative Stevens in here earlier, and so you can see the significance of that law when the majority of, or the top revenue source for the town is that local sales tax. So we should expect that we'll see that to continue to rise. It is not rising as quickly as we have seen in previous years. Inflation has cooled. And the market has cooled a bit, so we have been a little bit conservative in our revenue figures as opposed to what we have shown you in the past, but they're still showing a trend upwards. So general fund revenues, again, as a proportion of the whole, again, you can see the local sales tax is at 34%. Property tax makes up the next largest proportion of revenues, followed by other local revenues and state shared revenues. All right, to compare 25 to 26, the budget recommendation on personnel costs, you can see that it's a 14% increase. That's a reflection of the pay in class market analysis that we did, as well as the additional positions that we're recommending. Operations and maintenance is recommended to increase by 7.6% across the general fund, and the capital, as we already talked about, use of cash is down by $6 million. Debt service has gone down quite a bit. And Rex, if you can just remind me why our debt service has gone down, I appreciate it.
Our debt's being paid down.
Okay.
And some of the remaining debt that we have is being paid from impact fee funds.
Okay, great. All right, so we do use impact fees to pay down debt specifically for roadway projects. It's an allowable expense. General fund expenditures by department. Again, 55% of general fund expenditures are for public safety. So huge emphasis on ensuring that our community is safe. And then you can see parks as well is always a top priority for the town council. General government services make up numerous amounts of other things like planning, HR, administration, legal services, a whole plethora of other functions to ensure that the operations of our government can continue. General fund by expenditure type, personnel, debt service is very low, capital and operations and maintenance. Talked a little bit about our health, welfare, and cultural budget when we met for the retreat, so I wanted to present, excuse me, I think I just pressed the button. And I don't know how to fix that. Thank you. I see a cursor, thank you. All right, perfect. Somebody from up above help me. So these, we've generally always participated in the funding of these intergovernmental nonprofits, as well as our Smyrna Charity Assistance Fund, which is $35,000. That is a process, as more of a competitive process for town dollars for our nonprofits to go through our committee that Council Member Peebles is a member of, and we have a whole committee for that. And so this is the expenditures over time. They do generally increase a little bit. We've seen some increases in the Rutherford County emergency management this year. We've seen some increases, where else have we seen some increases? Oh, in the library as well. The library budget, we did go into a little bit of detail during our retreat. The main reason for that increase is they are taking a part-time IT position and making it a full-time position. So we have a closed pension, but we still have a responsibility towards it. And so I want to show you what the statement of fiduciary net position is on this. We only have seven participants that are active in the system, meaning they're still actively employed with the town of Smyrna. 36 are inactive. The fund is, I think the most important thing here is to show that the fund is 95% funded. That for a pension fund, that is excellent. That is absolutely excellent. Just talk a little bit about fund balance, because fund balance is a very important thing for our city. It is one of the reasons why we are a AAA rated city. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But you can see over time that the percentage of our fund balance over revenues has decreased to 53%. It's okay, because what the strategy that the town has employed is to maintain a very high fund balance above our policy level of 30%, but to transfer some of those unassigned fund balance to our designated capital fund to fund capital projects throughout the city. So let's talk a little bit about capital. The revenues from capital are estimated to be about 14 million, but as you can see in capital projects, we have $26.4 million worth of capital projects recommended for the FY 25-26 budget. The ending fund balance within that capital fund will go down to 20 million. That's simply because we are following through on capital projects that the council in previous years has provided a strategy to the town staff to employ, and we'll show you that in just a minute. The Cedar Stone, these are general fund highlights that I want to show you in terms of capital projects. Obviously, this is not the entire capital budget, but we are continuing on with Cedar Stone Phase 2 construction at 5.5 million. The Sam Ridley at Old Nashville Highway intersection at 2.75, street repaving and marking. We haven't talked about that one yet. That's $2 million. 107-foot ladder truck. That was part of the capital plan to bring some of our apparatus up to date at 1.78, as well as another service company at approximately 1.5. Rocky Fork Amberville Road improvements, almost $1 million. New sidewalks at $750,000. Cooks Lane improvements at $650,000. We continue with our ADA compliancy, so we are required by the federal government to bring our town up to ADA compliance. This relates not only to our sidewalks, but to our parks and our facilities as well. So many of our departments participate in this, and we continue to chip away at that. We're doing very well. We need to be completed within approximately 20 years, and we are spending recommended about $570,000 this year. We talked a little bit in our planning council joint meeting just earlier that we are looking to begin planning for an update of our comprehensive plan. Scanning archival of documents is something that we really need to get ahead of and start to. That's really the first step to where we can provide public records and document retrieval in a much more transparent and efficient manner. The design of the Rotary Park improvements, we are going to start to look at Rotary Park as the next park that we need to look at from a perspective of field use and what we are using. So we will explore turf fields out there and look at costs and see what we can do in terms of any drainage issues that we have and the like. We did talk, and the council did approve software for the town clerk, which is budgeted at $113,000. Talked about the probation software already. We're also going to be doing a brand new master plan, and I want to just speak to some of these plans holistically. As we talked in our planning meeting with the planning council meeting, and we talked about looking at what growth impacts have across all services. We plan on making sure that the Parks Master Plan and the Comprehensive Plan look at those issues as we move forward. And of course, we'll use very good consultants to help us through that. And now we are going to also begin to update our optics on all our firearms. This is not the total cost to update all of our firearms. We're going to do this in a cycle to update them to ensure that we have our police officers have the best equipment that we can have for them. So this is, I think, a real important slide to take a look at. So when we talk about the capital budget for the town, you can clearly see that almost 75% of it goes towards infrastructure. The rest goes towards equipment, but the impact to the residents, when you see roadways, when you see sidewalks, when you see parks being built, 75% of our capital budget is going towards that. Within our stormwater fund, we have $400,000 designated for drainage repairs, parking lot upgrades, and 3 trucks and related equipment. Within stormwater, you can see the distribution based off equipment and infrastructure improvements here.
He brings me back a jacket.
Water and sewer, property purchase at $2 million. This is a proactive way for us to start the planning process as it relates to, let me guess, it's getting cold in here?
Jerry's about to freeze to death. He's one HG to bring him a jacket.
I can feel it.
He
I can
keeps
feel
getting
it.
closer to me.
And I will say the comment about cable television, it's probably a hell of a lot, more entertaining, a heck of a lot more entertaining than this budget presentation, so I appreciate you guys, and I'm getting through it. We're almost done. Thought we needed a little comic relief, just bring the audience back, excuse me. Property purchase, so we need to look at expansion of our plant down the road. It is inevitable, so the first step of that would be property purchase. So we're reserving $2 million to look at that. Linwood right-of-way, this, I want to just take a moment to talk about this briefly. The Linwood right-of-way is something that is a project that we have, and so we are responsible for the right-of-way acquisition on that. The water model construction and the I&I project construction, the water modeling is really going to help us with looking at our distribution system and how that works and what improvements we can make. The I&I project construction, again, is for the efficiency of our water loss. You can see that most of the capital that we do there is in infrastructure and improvements. Within natural gas, we have a contract with Bush Construction. They do a lot of the infrastructure improvements and building out of the gas infrastructure. That's the amount that we're recommending this year, very consistent with what we've done in the past. Then we have the Fall Creek Basin project for gas, $660,000. I want to just point out here that this is a project that has not been through planning and has not been through the town council yet, but we want to just reserve these dollars in anticipation of this coming before you. If this project is not approved, we would obviously move this back down into the fund balance. Also, replacement of 2 trucks and related equipment within the natural gas utility. 91% of what we do in natural gas is for infrastructure improvements. Capital improvement plan across all funds on a 5-year basis. We're required to provide you with the 5-year, and the state, a 5-year capital program. So I think the most important thing here is to look at those totals and the amount of infrastructure that we are looking or asking to do within the years, not only next year, but in the years to come. And below that, you can see the types of funding sources that we are looking to use to support that. Here, when we talk about how much we have used over a 10-year period for the different categories, you can see that 55% of the capital assets and capital expenditures over that 10-year period have been to highways and roads. Did I say that correctly, Rex? Okay, thank you. Project status update, I talked a little bit more about the previous plan that the council has adopted when we initially started to divert some of our undesignated fund balance into the capital fund. And these are some of the projects and the status of those. So we continue with the replacement of that fire apparatus. Cedar Stone Park's total estimate is $11 million. We're going into phase 2. We're going to begin phase 2 next year. And then these are the estimates for the roads on the west side of I-24, Rocky Fork, Amberville, Cooks Lane, and Lee Road. That leaves us a cash balance of approximately $5 million at the completion of those projects estimated. Important to recognize that although we still have some of those projects underway, a lot has been done. So Jefferson Pike Town Hall, that was cash and grant. A lot of that was ARP funds.
Fire hall. You
Fire
said town hall. Fire hall.
Yeah, thank you. Fire hall. Fire hall. I've been talking a lot.
It's okay.
So,
We just don't want anybody to think we put another town hall over on Jefferson Pike.
well, no, we won't put.
Kind of did.
It's got a small substation, but I don't. Yeah. So that one got completed. Phase 1 of Cedar Stone Park got completed for $8.9 million. And we're already within some design work for the 3 large road projects out in the west. All right, so funding sources for our capital projects. The capital projects fund is about 50% of what you just saw. 17.24% is general fund. But what I want to show you here, most importantly, is about 30% of the funding for capital projects comes from sources outside of the city. Drug fund, grant funds, impact fees. All right, so have a really robust 5-year capital plan, and I think it's important to at least present what some of those future capital financing options are. I'm not advocating, I think it's important that the council see this. So one is to continue with transferring some of our surplus into the capital fund. The FY25 estimate of that transfer is about $3 million. We can reevaluate our impact fee assessment, something that we just talked about in our public planning and council meeting. So that's something that we look to do next year as well. The other thing that we can look to do is issue long-term debt. We believe that at a rough estimate, we have some capacity of about $20 million over 20 years. That would add an additional debt service onto our expenditures of $1.5 million. And I'd like to also point out here that the town issued a $20 million bond back in, 2019? And you got a whole bunch of projects done. That $20 million will not go as far this time, especially with the announcement from TDOT that they have approved a partnership with the town to complete the Amityville Road project at a total cost of $22 million, where our portion would be 10. So we'll eat that up rather quickly, but these are important projects, and it is progress, and it is traffic congestion, and it is what the residents have been asking for.
But that project might be funded through the Choice Lane projects is that we're hoping.
That's what we are hoping, absolutely. If the concessionaire who is going to be doing the choice lanes wants to include that intersection in, because that is the second phase of the project, and they want to get that done now, which I hope they do, I think it makes sense, then we would certainly not have to bear that cost.
Yep.
Yes. And then fourth, cut or delay projects. We could slow down the capital program. That's another option. But right now, we are actively doing both 1 and 2. We are exploring item number 3. That was that Davenport expense that I talked to you about. And item 4, again, is just to show you all the options.
But to let our citizens know, our long-term debt is very low for a community our size doing what we're doing and what we're spending.
We have an extremely low debt to revenue ratio. Again, I talked a little bit about our AAA bond rating. That has contributed significantly to our AAA bond rating. All right, so here what you can see is the cash flow into the capital projects year over year. And what I want to point out is, and I talked about this earlier, is that there have been some really good years where inflation has helped us a lot because our number one revenue source is sales tax. And that inflation has allowed us to transfer a lot of our surplus towards our capital projects. But it has slowed down. It has slowed down significantly. You can see $1.8 million transfer in 2024 and an estimated $2 million in 2025. That $5.1 million was due to the land sale for Stewart's Landing. Talk a little bit about impact fees. So no personnel costs on impact fees, no operations and maintenance expenditures on impact fees, but you can see that we are seeing an increase in our impact fees over last year slightly, and or actually a lot, almost $1 million, and we expect to spend about the same amount in 2026 as we are this year. Again, impact fees are paid by development to offset some of the costs for roadway improvement projects, parks and recreation, and public safety. At the bottom, you can see the balance of those various amounts. So within the 25-26 budget, we believe we're going to have an ending fund balance of $7.4 million. And public safety, parks and roads, you can see the balances within each budget year, 24 budget estimate, and then the 25-26 recommendation. Here's a graph of our impact fee collection since 2015. And the blue, just in case it's small for anybody, the blue represents the proportion of impact fees related to roads. Red is parks, and then green is public safety. It was in 2023 that the town council made a decision to, based off of a study that was conducted, to start charging 100% of the allowable impact fees, and so that's why there's a dramatic increase in 2023. Impact fees by expense, it's up and down, and we do that purposely, because what we want to do is we want to build up the amount of impact fees that we have and then use them for large capital projects. So you will see ebb and flow on this naturally year over year. But in a 10-year total, we have spent $23 million in impact fees on infrastructure projects. We talked a little about debt service, and so you can see that for our debt service, we have very low amount. $1.5 million annually for debt service is extremely low for the total $63 million budget that we have in the general fund. And here you can see a depiction of what our debt service will look like over time with the current debt that we have, not adding any additional debt. And you can see that by 2029, we're paying a large portion of what we currently have. This is the schedule of the maturities right here. The schedule for the general obligation, which would be general fund dollars, and then the wastewater fund carries debt as well. The principal and interest totals and what that total amount of debt looks like for not only the next 4 years at approximately $1.5 million, but the total that we will spend for debt that we have on the books today, which is about $20 million in the general fund and $51.3 in the water and sewer fund. So, how much debt can we actually take on? The calculation that we look at is 10% of the assessed value plus 20% of the general operating expenditures. And the maximum debt limit for us is $317 million. So as I showed you just previously, you can see how low we are in terms of debt.
I had a question on that slide.
This one?
The previous one.
Previous?
Yes. On the 2030 to 2054, that the principal and is that just a projection of what will be needed, like with the water plant?
This is actual debt service that we have on the books.
Okay. And I guess my question is, why does it jump from 2029 to 2030 through 54?
So it's a 10-year.
I know it's a lot more years.
We wanted to, the purpose of this slide and the way we presented it is to just show you what that debt service is on the general fund and the water sewer fund for the next 4 years.
Then 25
But then we
years.
consolidated the remaining debt
Okay.
service
Got you.
for what's
Sure.
left. How'd I do? Okay. All right, so back to this slide. That's the maximum amount of debt service that we can have, over $317 million. Our debt service is extremely low. you can see that with the current outstanding debt, we're at 59,000. So the percentage of the maximum is only 18%. So we do have some flexibility if we need to.
Now, how much could we spend without affecting our bond rating?
So that's a great question, and the good thing about some of the analysis that we've done with the financial advisor is we've looked at some of our counterparts that are in that AAA rating, and we can look at how much debt a AAA rated town has. We can see what their fund balances are, and it's really kind of like a scale, and we are well within those scales. So as long as we're still within that AAA range, we're, in my opinion, I think we'd be good. But that's why it's important, I think, to have the expertise to give us the guidance on that. Because we don't want to get into a position where we've taken out too much debt and now we're debt burdened and it would affect our credit score. That's the last thing that I would want to see us do. Speaking of, kind of segueing, these are from that financial advisor that we did work with to do this type of analysis. But within the water and sewer fund, our debt service coverage is extremely strong. We have great liquidity. The natural gas fund liquidity is very strong, and we have no debt in the natural gas fund. Moody's has rated us as a AAA town or city collectively. And that is extremely impressive and something that I think we all should be proud of and continue to strive to maintain. Nationally, there's only 179 cities that are AAA rated. And to give you some indication of what types of other towns and cities, just look locally at who is AAA rated here in Tennessee. There's only 5 of them. And the makeup of Smyrna is a little bit different than the other ones that you see on this board, being Brentwood, Collierville.
There you go.
Thank you.
You got it.
Franklin and Germantown. So something to be very, very proud of. It's a testament to the policy decisions and the policy decisions of the town, and quite frankly, the guidance that you've received from your finance director, our finance director. So
Good time to go out, Rex. Go out while you're on top.
Yeah. So here, what we're looking at is what the cost of borrowing is. So why, this goes back to why is it so important to have a AAA bond rating? Because this is the cost of borrowing, okay? So if you looked at a 1-year loan, 5-year loan, 10-year, 20, 30, you can see the cost of borrowing for a AAA town is much lower than that of a AA or even a single A, okay? So just add those percentages. If we were going to take out a 30-year loan, you could add that 45 and the 22. You could see that or add the 45 to the 3.95, and we'd be well over 4% borrowing. So this really helps our borrowing costs, which is substantial because debt service is not cheap. Obviously, the best way to do it is cash basis, which we do phenomenal at. But when we have these large projects, sometimes we've got to look at debt service. Moody's rating agency commentary on the town, that we have a strong history of healthy reserves and liquidity. We have below average debt and affordable pension liability. We talked about being 95% funded. And we have a multi-year tax base expansion. So as we continue to grow, these rating agencies look at that as a healthy indicator for financial stability. What could lead us to having our credit rating downgraded? A couple of things would be a sizable decrease in our financial position. Another one would be a deterioration of our tax base size or quality. Those would be mainly economic and demographic indicators that show the different factors for our community related to affordability of our housing stock and those sorts of things. And then, of course, a material increase in leverage as well. In closing remarks, yes, this is the end. I know you're disappointed. This is a draft document, and we anticipate that there will still be a few more tweaks between the first reading and the second reading. But I do want to thank all the departments for the amount of time that they put in and the work that they put into this budget process. I want to thank Assistant Town Managers Todd Spearman, Rex Gaither. I'd like to thank also Sierra. She did a tremendous amount of work on this budget. And also Heather, thank you so much for the presentation. The formatting of it is very professional. Thank you so much. With that, we're on to the next item, which is, unless you want me, I can do the presentation all over again if you'd like.
So, questions or comments for Dave on the presentation?
Very thorough.
Yeah, agreed. And just so the citizens know, this is just a small indication of what we as a council sat through on and participated in and had discussion about at our retreat. But that's just a drop in the bucket to what the work you all have been doing within your own departments and then presenting to Rex and Dave. And so we appreciate the job you all have done. And the reason we have a AAA bond rating is because of each one of you and the jobs that you do on a daily basis and how much we appreciate that. So-
Yes, Mayor, I just want to thank Dave for, I'll email him asking questions regarding the budget. Been really responsive, the department head, so just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thanks. Okay, then we will put item 15 on the agenda. And Dave, you did not say the most important thing during that presentation, but Rex is getting ready to say it under item 16. Consideration of an ordinance adopting the property tax rate for fiscal year 2025-2026. We'll let you have the thunder today.
No tax increase.
Woo-hoo! Way to go, Rex, yes.
The tax rate ordinance establishes the property tax rate for fiscal year '26. Our recommendation is for the tax rate to remain the same from the prior year at 52.57 cents on each $100 of assessed taxable property. We're asking that you approve this ordinance.
Okay. Council, questions on our tax rate?
Thank you, Rex.
Yep. Item 17, consideration of an ordinance to approve the year-end budget amendments for the fiscal year 2025.
These are the proposed year-end budget amendments for fiscal year 2025. These include the year-end transfer of excess surplus funds to the capital project fund, town manager recruitment, staff development and training, service awards and recognition, unforeseen repair and maintenance, and employee expenses. Several capital projects, primarily Cedarstone tennis and pickleball project, equipment for a fire truck, computer upgrade, and building improvements. And staff recommends approving these budget amendments.
Questions for Rex on these amendments? Okay, then we'll add that to the agenda. Okay, anything under other tonight, Dave or Amber?
I just want to, I think you all said it very, very clearly during the presentation for Representative Stevens, but are we okay abandoning the census upon the governor's signature of that bill?
I think once the governor signs it, absolutely.
Okay, great.
Because, I mean, we would have been at the same timeline, but there is one thing.
I don't have a census slide.
There's one thing that I will say. I just want to say thank you to the Census Committee and team. They have been working tirelessly, and also to the fire department for going door to door. I know that y'all kind of taken a beating with that. But we appreciate all the hard work that you've put in. I do think that moving forward, this is going to be so much easier for not only the town of Smyrna, but every community across the state of Tennessee. And I think it's honestly a way that's more fair for every community to get the state shared revenue that we deserve. So, Dave, thanks for your leadership on that and for working with Representative Stevens and getting it to move forward. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, Cameron, anything? Nope. Scott? Charles, I am going to ask you to come forward. There's been a little chatter on the street
about Jefferson Pike and Murfreesboro Road. Can you talk, we've put a slide out about that today, but can you talk a little bit about that project?
Right. This is a TDOT project, 100% funded by TDOT, but had the pre-construction meeting today on that project. And what this project will do is a safety project that will, on Lowry Street, Murfreesboro Road, at Jefferson Pike, there will be an intersection reconfiguration there plus a traffic signal. At the ramps that go on and off of Sam Ridley onto Lowry, those ramps will be reconfigured and there will be traffic signals at each one of those points. So there will be 3 new traffic signals in this project. And it's a $6 million plus project.
And so we've really been beat up the last couple of days over that project. And so I was so excited to see it put on, and the first comment was more traffic, more congestion during the process. So yes, there probably will be more traffic and more congestion while we're trying to fix the problem, but bear with us, it will get better.
And it begins Sunday night at 8 p.m. The orange signs will be going up, so the project will kick off then. I'm not sure of the time span for construction on this one, but it will be a much improved safety for Jefferson Pike, and especially at the ramps coming on and off of Sam Ridley, reconfiguring those ramps and that weave pattern and those turn lanes.
The next time you talk to them, can you find out what the estimated time frame is, just so we have
Right.
that?
I was unable to make the pre-con today, but TDOT did give me an update that the project will kick off on Sunday night. But
Great.
I will keep an update, and like I said, keep working with Heather to put out Facebook and social media references to it and keep you up to date on the timeline.
Perfect. Other questions for Charles? Thank you.
Okay.
Carl? Jeff Craig? Mike Strange?
Quickly. I want to give kudos to Kevin Relford and his staff at the water plant. They have been nominated for Water Treatment Plant of the Year by the Kentucky-Tennessee AWWA. Some of the award committee members toured the plant today, and then I'll use Kevin's words, the plant was in great shape.
Great.
We'll see how it shakes out, but it's a great honor just to be nominated, so kudos to Kevin and his staff at
Great.
the water plant.
Thanks for letting us know. Christy? I would like to say congratulations to Christy. I don't know that I have a slide. Do I have a slide on that? I didn't look. Oh, never mind. Okay, I won't steal your thunder, Dave. Congratulations, but I'll let Dave talk about it. Nothing? Kevin? Nothing? Mike Moss? Todd? Chief? Were you sleeping? Yes. Your eyes were closed. I saw them. They were closed. Yes, they were. You were sleeping.
It's the longest blink I've ever seen right there.
Heather? Rex? Sierra? Amber Lou? Are you sad that you don't have a slide for census?
For the census, I'm not sad. However, I do want to also give my personal kudos to these gentlemen sitting in the back, Kevin's department. It's really been a team effort, and I think we did, I won't use Dave's word from at the podium earlier, but that's my sentiment. We gave it our best swing, and would have continued going, and it was not for lack of effort, but I could not be more appreciative. I think, was it even your first day yet, or had you even started yet? One of Dave's first days, he may not even have started yet. We were having just loads of trays of mailers delivered, and he was just kind of looking at us like, what are we doing? This is census.
It looked like Santa's workshop.
It did. Me and Casey throwing stuff in the back. Mark, you've been here before when we
Walking off with mailboxes.
walking off a mail. I gotta go pick those up, by the way. But anyways, like everything, we gave it our best effort, but no, I'm not sad to see it go, and I'm super appreciative to our town manager for taking that and making it happen.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Thanks. Dave?
Yes, I have a couple things, but it's all good. I want to read a couple letters that I received. This one was from a Mr. Corliss Nelson. He lives out on 703 Pearl Court, and this is regarding the intersection of Burton Drive and Pearl Court. And he said, Mr. Santucci, I want to take a moment to thank you and your team for following through on my request that I made back in 2023 to fully repair the long-standing patchwork of sinkholes and potholes at the intersection of Burton Drive and Pearl Court and the Burton Farms development off Chicken Pike. I understand that our streets weren't the only ones in Smyrna facing pavement issues, which makes me all the more grateful that this work was prioritized and completed. The crew did an outstanding job, and I believe the neighborhood drivers share my appreciation for the much-needed improvements. Please extend my sincere thanks to the foreman and all crew members involved. Their hard work really made a difference. Thank you again. So, great job to our streets department following through on that, and kudos to your team. Tom, thank you. I'd like to also, I got a slide. Okay, great. Please join me in congratulating Judge Brittany Stevens on her Rutherford Athena Young Professional nomination. Judge Stevens is the first female and youngest court clerk for the town of Smyrna. She's also an adjunct professor at Lipscomb University and a published author. She is president of MT Law and past president of Friends of the Smyrna Library, and an active community volunteer. She holds a degree from Lipscomb University and Nashville School of Law. She has been nominated for this award, and we will see if she is given it on May 16th at 11 a.m. at MTSU. So I just want to make that announcement and congratulate her on the nomination, and I hope for her success. Want to recognize our Dispatcher of the Year. The Smyrna Police Department is proud to recognize Michaela Hetrick as the 2025 Dispatcher of the Year. Known for her professionalism, ability to remain calm under pressure, and unwavering commitment to public safety, Michaela sets the standard for excellence in emergency communications. Beyond her role as a dispatcher, Michaela is actively involved in community outreach, volunteering at job fairs, National Night Out, Police and Fire Youth Academy, and more. So congratulations, Michaela, on this well-deserved recognition. Great job. And we talked a little bit about our building official, and I'll start off with the letter that we received, which I think embodies just the type of culture that she has created over there in the organization. It says, Mayor Reed, hello, we recently completed construction project with the Town of Smyrna team. We wanted you to know that it was a pleasure to work with Oksana Strong, Christy Worrell, Ron Spencer, Dennis Blair, and the Building and Codes. Also, Derek with Smyrna Utilities went above and beyond to help us with last-minute needs. Mr. James Lawrence with the Fire Department did some last-minute help for us to help us get our inspections done. Everyone was so helpful and accommodating. We appreciate all the help your team gave and the wonderful spirit they exhibited. Thank you so much. MDI Construction for Tropical Smoothie. And as you can see here, Ms. Worrell was proudly recognized as the Tennessee Building Official Association Code Official of the Year. So Christy has been working in codes for 20 years and has been with the town since 2022. This honor reflects her commitment, professionalism, and contributions to building safety and community development. This award is well-deserved recognition for your hard work and dedication. Congratulations, Christy.
Congratulations.
Last week was National Public Safety Telecommunications Week, and I want to recognize all of the deserving professionals and the calm voices and the extreme pressure that they work under at the other end of the 911 dispatch when a resident calls. As the first point of contact in emergency, they engage with callers who are often in distress and make split-second decisions that are critical for saving lives and protecting property. These professionals gather vital information, assess the situation, dispatch field responders, and manage outgoing incidents, all while remaining calm, compassionate, and professional. So, recognizing all of our dispatchers for Telecommunication Week last week. And then lastly, I'm proud to announce that we have and offer an acceptance for a brand-new fire chief, Chief Brian Goss. He has been appointed as the new fire chief, and his first day with us will be May 19th. Chief Goss is a 42-year fire service veteran, having joined the profession in Bangor, Michigan, as a paid-on-call firefighter in 1983. In 1988, he began a 20-year career with the Grand Rapids, Michigan Fire Department, where he subsequently moved through the ranks of lieutenant captain and battalion chief before leaving in 2018 to accept the position of assistant chief for the Brentwood Fire Department. He was promoted to fire chief on July 1st, 2011. Chief Goss holds a bachelor's degree in biology and chemistry from Spring Arbor University and is a graduate of the University of North Carolina Fire and Rescue Management Institute, as well as the University of Tennessee's Public Administration program. He's earned his Chief Fire Officer and Public Information Officer designations from the Center for Public Safety's Excellence Commission on Professional Credentialing, and currently serves as a CPC peer reviewer. So look forward to him beginning his career with the town of Smyrna. And hopefully I'm not talking anymore tonight.
Thank you. Well, you're not Jeff, but do you have anything to say? I know.
I think we should see if Dave knows of anything else that Florida does better than Tennessee.
Ah,
Not
is there
much.
anything?
Basketball.
Ben, anything tonight?
No, ma'am.
Say it.
Yes.
Jerome?
Yes, Mayor, I have a slide, and I'm trying to figure out why they gave it to me and not HG, but I'll read it anyway. The National DEA Drug Take-Back is Saturday, April 26, 2025. The Prevention Coalition for Success is partnering with the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services and Republic Services for a drug take-back event at the Smyrna Police Department from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We encourage our citizens to safely and anonymously drop off unused and expired medication for proper disposal. Again, Saturday, April 26, 10 to 2, 400 Enon Springs Road East at the Police Department. Accepted items are tablets, capsules, patches. Items not accepted, needles, syringes, lancets, and liquids.
Is that it?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Raquel?
I also have a slide. So we finished up another great Easter egg hunt. So thank you to Smyrna Fire, Police, Natural Gas, and the Parks Departments for ensuring this tradition continues as a special event for our community. I think that was Dave's first one. You said that it was something you all do in Florida as well?
Yeah.
But to that extent?
Not this way.
But I think it was a good day and a good time had by all, so. And then let me also say congratulations to Christy, to Michaela, and to, is it the wastewater for the nomination, or the water plant for their nomination. And thank you to all of our dispatchers, and welcome to Brian Goss. And that's all I have.
Great. HG?
Yeah, I've got a couple of slides here. I'm not sure why they gave me this instead of not giving it to Jerome. I don't know. The Smyrna Event Center hosted a delicious Easter brunch. Thanks to everyone for the event staff for the fantastic event. And here we go now with Mother's Day. So make your reservations for the Smyrna Event Center's Mother's Day lunch. You can call 615-459-4444. You can email Karen.Cawthorn@townofsmyrna.org. And sure looks like a heck of a menu right there. The next item I have, I don't know why they gave it to me and not Jerome, but you need to love where you live. Help keep Smyrna litter free. You know, and I like to add on to this that we need to start recycling also. You know, there's a lot of things we're going to have to do to help with the landfill situation. pick our trash up off of the grounds and recycle it best as we can. Dave, how long you been here?
6 months and about 13 days.
Any hours? And
10 minutes.
I'm gonna have to say you did a heck of a job on that agenda to have grasped it as well as you did in the little amount of time that you've been here. I mean, I've sat through quite a few of those, and your presentation was pretty good. Right near Rex, not quite as good as Rex's, but I mean, you're close. We'll knock the bugs, the rough edges off by next year. It's also a terrific thing that you were able to bring in and the census bill. I mean, how many people get their idea put before the state legislature and a bill passed, much less in the amount of time that it was passed? I mean, that's truly amazing. But thank you, sir. One other thing that I've been thinking about a little bit is, over the last couple of months with Bridgestone closing down in Laverne, and then, Nissan talking about cutting back and everything, the news that the news that Nissan is cranking back up full strength is really big for us. I mean, listening to the budget tonight and seeing what kind of, shape we're in and how good a job our staff does and how vibrant our town is. All of those things are, just absolutely terrific. And we're very, very blessed, I guess is what my real point is. We're blessed to have the staff that we have. We're blessed to have the citizens that we have. And even some of the council we're blessed to have.
Thank you. Thanks, Chief.
And that's all I've got tonight.
Jerry?
I think I have a slide. Myself and my wife was able to attend the premiere of the movie Reel. We had a great time. This was produced, filmed, all the actors and actresses and all came from Smyrna High School. And they've had it at the theater here in Smyrna. And it was just, it was amazing to watch this film. They did a fantastic job. The young lady on the other side there of me is Ava Eckenrod, and I just happened to be getting ready to go into the to the theater, and she was standing by the poster, and so I started talking to her, and her name was on the poster, and so I asked her if I could take a picture, and she was so excited to be involved in that, and was excited to know that she was going to be on our Facebook page and all. But they just did a great job. I tell you, we've got some great young men and women that are coming up that are going to take our places here and other places and businesses around here and government and all. And I think we're in great hands between our schools here, Smyrna and Stewart's Creek and all, and just we had a great time. So I wanted to say thank you to Smyrna High School for the invitation. And in the other picture is a couple of the vice principals, and the gentleman in the middle is Mr. Dietz. He is the teacher that did this. And then the lady to the left of him is with Rutherford County Schools. So again, just wanted to say thank you, and we had a great time. There's going to be some more showings. Looks like April the 28th and the 30th, and May the 5th and the 7th. So if you want to get out and see something and see the different locations in Smyrna up on the big screen, that'd be a great place to go. So, and Christy, I just want to say congratulations to you, and that's awesome. And also, Dave, thank you for all you've done. As HG was saying, getting that bill, and you and Mr. Representative Stevens, and I just wanted to say thank you. That's pretty amazing. So that's all I got.
Jerry, you had a daughter-in-law had a birthday.
She did. I was going to say it. I said it the last time that I was here, so I wasn't going to say it twice. But I had a daughter-in-law that had a birthday yesterday, and I had a brother that had a birthday yesterday. And also, my dad passed away on April 23rd as well. So April 23rd has a lot of different meanings for us. So, but yes, happy birthday to Shelby.
Steve?
I'm not gonna pontificate as long as HG and Jerry, and I don't know why they gave me this slide instead of Jerome either. But I've got a slide for Memorial Day. 2025 is coming up in May. We have 2 days that we celebrate. We celebrate Veterans Day and we celebrate Memorial Day. Veterans Day is for those that served and are still with us. Memorial Day is for those that gave the ultimate sacrifice. So keep that in mind, and as you celebrate and you have, it's kind of traditionally the first day of summer. We have family get-togethers and cookouts, but keep in mind that the freedom that allows us to do that and the sacrifice that people made for us to be able to enjoy that type of event with our family. We will have a Memorial Day ceremony on Monday, May 26th at 9 a.m. at the Coos Memorial. It's always one of my favorite events of the year. As a veteran, it's fun to be there. So if you want to join us, 9 a.m. on Monday, May 26th. Christy, congratulations. Well deserved. Dave, good job with the budget presentation. I'm really anxious to see how you do next year when you don't have Rex behind you. But I don't. Is Rex still here? You already? Oh, there he is.
He's right over there.
I thought maybe you already skipped out. But Rex, I think that's going to be the biggest gap that we'll have this coming year is replacing you. I'm sure we'll find a talented person, but it'll take them a long time to catch up. And really appreciate the work you've done. So great budget again. And I remember the years when you would say, I don't know if we can get AAA bond status just because of our size or our community or whatever. I remember telling her to calm down, that we're working on it. But now here we are with it. So thank you. So.
Marky Mark?
I think I have a couple slides to pop up here. So the Smyrna Fire and Police Departments are proud to announce the return of their joint effort for the Police and Fire Youth Academy. The 2025 Smyrna Fire and Police Youth Academy will be held June 9th through the 13th. Students will participate in graduation ceremony on Friday, June the 13th. The academy is designed for children ages 8 through 13. Activities will be held at the Smyrna Fire Station number 2 over on Fitzhugh Boulevard on the base from 9 to 3, Monday through Thursday. And so if you want to learn more, you can go on our town's website and you'll find it there. Second slide. So thanks to Bojangles over on Lee Victory Parkway for providing a free meal to our Smyrna Fire Department and Smyrna Police, first responders. We are very thankful for their support of our first responders. They do this every year. And I think a lot of people here at Town Hall are beneficial to the chicken that they serve them. And so we appreciate Bojangles for doing that. And obviously they show their appreciation to all of our first responder team.
I noticed you showed up when there's food.
I always show up if there's food.
And Todd.
And Todd. Todd and I sit together.
Todd's a no-brainer, right?
I do want to congratulate Jelaine Nodine. She was a dispatcher and just retired after 30 years. And had an opportunity to go down to the police department and celebrate that with the police people a couple weeks ago. And then today, Linda Johnson, as you all may or may not know, was after 40 or plus years, has retired. And so she had a big drive-through today. A lot of people went and showed their respects and love and care for Linda. So to both of them, congratulations on retirement. We wish you all the best. Yes, Alan, yeah, that's right, because that's happened since our last meeting.
Yeah.
So thanks for bringing that up, Chief. We were down there for Detective Alan Neighbors as well. So you've had several people down there in your department beginning to retire after a lot of years of service. But I think Alan's was 30 years, if I'm not mistaken, 30 years or more. 25? Okay, so a long time.
What's that say for you if they're all leaving?
I do want to say happy birthday to my little granddaughter. She's the apple of my eye. 9 years old, my Lenny Kate, we call her. Chief Goss, I don't know if he's watching or listening or if he'll see in this, but we want to congratulate him on being part of the Smyrna Fire Department now and coming to join our team. Several people were mentioned here tonight that got accolades and awards. So Michaela, Christy, Judge Stevens, And we want to say thanks again to Representative Stevens for working with you, Dave, on getting that bill passed. I know that that young lady right there is going to appreciate that as much as anybody. So Amber and Casey, I've watched you guys work that census, and you gave every bit of effort you could to that, and so we appreciate that. Fire department as well for going door to door and all the people that were mentioned. I'm glad we won't have to do that anymore. But thank you guys for what you did. I know you put in the hours. I've watched you do it. And lastly, you read a couple letters about some of our employees, and I just want to say thanks to them. The staff, most of the department heads and so forth are in here usually with us, but the employees, whether they watch this or not, they need to know we love them, we appreciate them, and they go out there and they're face-to-face with the public a lot more than some of us are. So I appreciate the work that they do, the time they put in to make everybody at the town of Smyrna look good. That's all I have.
Couple of slides. We were excited to announce that TDOT's Build With Us 10-year plan included the much-needed reconstruction of our I-24 at Amable Road interchange to enhance our safety and traffic flow. The town council has been advocating for this TDOT project for many, many years, and the I-24 Choice Lane project put this on hold, but many of us worked with the GNRC, Transportation Policy Board, to get this initiative pushed back through. I also want to say specific thanks to our town planner, Kevin Rigsby, and Charles King, our town engineer, who really worked closely with TDOT staff to justify the need for this project and provide technical assistance. And we'd also like to thank our local state delegation for all of their support in helping to move this project forward. So it is absolutely much needed, and hopefully will be the kickoff to more projects to come down that Amable Road corridor. I had the pleasure of speaking with Cub Scout Pack 1001. Gosh, I can't remember what day that was. It was one day this week. And they consisted of members from Stewart's Creek and Rock Springs Elementary. I talked about how community and local government work, and they really asked some really great questions. I always go, and sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, it's 6 o'clock, I really want to be at home. And once I leave, I'm always so excited, and they asked great questions, and the parents usually get involved, and they were a great group of kids. So we had a great time together. Our annual Kids Safety Day event is right around the corner on May 3rd from 9 to 1. This is a free event filled with exciting activities, including free climbing in the SOAC Adventure Zone rooms. The SOAC programming team will be there also to share animal encounters every 15 minutes. You can register online. It's hosted by TriStar Stonecrest Medical Center, the town of Smyrna, local government, our Parks and Rec Department, TriStar Centennial, Children's Hospital, and Smyrna Outdoor Adventure Center. So come out and enjoy a great family fun event. Couple of things that have taken place since we met last. Our Jeff Coos Scholarship Committee did 2 days worth of interviews and have narrowed down to the 3 recipients. We will be bringing those individuals here to our next council meeting to introduce them. We all got to meet with the 4 applicants that had made it to the next round for the fire chiefs, and even though 3 of them were not selected, I just want to say thank you for applying for the position. All 4 were very qualified, but we are glad to have Brian on board. You talked about Alan and Jelaine and Linda. Raquel talked about our Easter egg hunt. We had our first meeting of Parks and Recreation with our new board members, and so all of you that sit on a board or committee, I'm sure you've gotten to meet with the new members of your board, and we're just excited and thankful that they came on board. We had a meeting about our Christmas parade, which is going to be our 50th one, so it's a big year this year. We've done that since our last workshop. I talked about the Cub Scouts. Business Before Hours today was at Smyrna Senior Activity Center. It was a lot of fun. Fran gave us a lot of great information, and we were excited to be there. A lot of us were there today for AESC's ribbon cutting, and they have been here since 2012, but they have made a $500 million investment into their corporation, and they've got great things going on. I'm sure you'll have slides for that next time. And thanks to our Planning Commission. Tonight was our joint meeting with Planning Commission, and we discussed quite a bit of stuff. So that's something we're doing on a quarterly basis now, and I appreciate them as well as the council being there. Anything else tonight? If there's nothing else, then we're adjourned.
Okay.
Okay.
Session 2.